that's the way it is. When you question me for a simple answer, I know just what to say, yeah. And it's plain to see, if we work together, we're gonna find the way, yeah. So don't surrender, 'cause we will win at this thing called success. When you want it the most, there's no easy way out. When you're ready to go, there won't be any doubt. Don't give up or lose faith. Success comes to those who believe it, and that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Well, we must always see past tomorrow. We'll always answer the call. A legacy that we can borrow. Sales always conquers it all. Oh, when you want it the most, there's no easy way out. When you're ready to go, there won't be any doubt. Don't give up or you stay. Success comes to those who believe it. That's the way. There's no easy way out. When you're ready to go, there won't be any doubt. Don't give up or you stay. Success comes to those who believe it, and that's the way it is. 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 That's the way. Don't give up or you stay. Success comes to those who believe it, and that's the way it is. Yeah.
What a great year it's been in many ways. But I have to ask you a question, a very simple one. How long are you going to beat yourself up for last year? Don't take it forward. Let's get rid of it. Get rid of the baggage. All we can do with last year is learn from it, isn't it? What did we learn from last year? What can we take forward? What can we do to make sure that we don't make those same errors again? We went so far as to discipline our logo, decide how we use it. We changed our exterior color to our buildings. We changed the look and the feel of the outside of our buildings. We changed the interior graphics of our buildings. Complete new look. We redid the entire prototypical layout. We changed the standards at the clubs and in merchandising. Each and every one of you stepped up and agreed that the right standard for each and every day in our clubs was to be grand opening ready for our members every day. Not just when we opened, but all through the day. We had that responsibility to our member. Why? They pay money to come and shop with us, don't they? They don't just walk in like they do in other forms of retail. They have to choose to come to us. They pay money to do that. We have an obligation to make sure that the standards are that high. We changed the quality of our merchandise and the merchandise selection. We decided that we were not an opening price point warehouse. We wanted to make sure that we had the quality products that our upscale member would want each and every day. And we wanted to make sure that we took good care of that business member. You see, we haven't changed that part of our philosophy. We need both. We need the business member, we need the Advantage member, and we need the Advantage member to make sure that they have an elite card, right? We lowered our costs. We changed the way we bought merchandise. Why? You can't give the best deal to your member unless you buy at the lowest cost, can you? You can't build costs in and expect to be at the lowest cost. Great way to go. We've improved our in-stock position. We've reduced our advertising. Why? Because we want to get the costs out of doing business. We've added technology. And guess what they're talking about on the business page? It's talking about a new gadget quickens the pace of checkout at Sam's Club. Right there. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you, you ought to take a deep breath, relax, congratulate yourself on getting through a year where there was a lot of change. You know, we have over 80,000 people at Sam's now. There's a lot of people in it. And each and every one of us have a responsibility to those 80,000 people to make sure that we deliver the very best product we can each and every day, so that we can make sure that their lives, their careers, their opportunities are the best they can possibly be. But maybe we need to look at two issues that we really need to focus on most: execution and attitude. Attitude. Kind of an interesting thing, isn't it? Attitude means a great deal. It really is a predictor of how good a company can be. You know, we have had many different pricing structures or pricing attitudes within our company, haven't we? Sometimes it was for margin, sometimes it was for other reasons, but today we have one pricing attitude: we will be the best price in the marketplace. We will meet any club, anytime, anywhere, on anything. Just that simple. No one is going to beat us. If the message that you hear is that we will just be out about better execution, then we will have accomplished what we need here. Do what we do better than anyone else. That's all it's about. That's all that's needed. So this year is the return on investment year, isn't it? We made our investments last year. We invested deeply in change. We invested in making sure that we were the club that we wanted to be. And we have taught and have tried to focus. This year, we'll get the benefits of all that because we're not changing anything big. I want to see each and every one of you succeed beyond your wildest dreams. You've laid the foundation. You've paid your dues. Now it's time to reap the rewards from that investment.
Good morning. I have to tell you that International is a very exciting place, except sometimes it may be too exciting because we have things happening all over the world. So, Tom, you talked about the highs and the lows. We're always on a high and moving forward. You know, we're still very young in International. We started with our first international group with CIFRA in 1991 with a joint venture. And just in this past several years, we've continued to grow. This year that we just completed, sales will be about $22 billion, and we expect to ramp up this year to exceed over $32 billion. At least that is our plan, and we're aggressively going after it. Today we have the largest retailer in Canada, and with our 53% ownership in CIFRA, we're also the largest retailer in Mexico. And part of the major excitement this past year was our acquisition of Asda in the UK. So as I talked about, we're still very early in the growth curve, but we are becoming a global brand. Walmart and Sam's name are going worldwide, and people are accepting it very readily. We just opened our 1,000th unit in December, and I know over the years I've given you a test and say, how many units does International have? And I don't know if everyone recognized 1,000 units already International and growing very fast. And the potential is outstanding. The United States only has 4.5% of the world's population, so we have a long way to go with spreading Walmart and Sam's throughout the world. We acquired one of the largest supermarket chains in the United Kingdom, Asda. They currently have 232 stores, including 33 stores in Scotland. We're very excited about Asda. They had a good performance this year financially, and we're most excited to have an excellent management team running the business that we've given them additional responsibility to work with our German operations for this year. Talk about what the keys to global success are, and we're all really part of this wonderful global company. Number one, not unexpected, is people, and developing people to become leaders throughout the world. Number two is global sourcing, which we're working with Sam's domestically to get the best prices and the best merchandise worldwide. The third one is sharing best practices. We need to have the best Sam's Clubs, the best Supercenters, the best Walmarts worldwide. You know, our major competitor internationally is Carrefour, which is not yet in the U.S., although someday they might be. And they're based out of France. They don't see France as the home country and everything else is international. They run an integrated global company, and that's our theme, to really accelerate leveraging all the resources in Walmart and Sam's to drive our business.
I've really picked up a few things this year. I think we're starting to make a little progress, and let me give you a few examples. Now, they only let me have 2 SKUs. That's all they let me have right now, unleaded and premium. But for unleaded right now, we're averaging $50,000 per club per week. Is that a good item? Okay. Second principle I learned is you need to keep turning the merchandise. And with gas, we typically carry about 25,000, 30,000 gallons in the ground every day, and we turn it every other day. So we've got about 180 turns a yearly. Is that a good item? Third thing is markdowns. In the gas business, we do not know what a markdown is. It turns every day. And then finally, and perhaps the most important thing in the club business, is I've been told that you need to be seasonally correct. And unleaded fuel works every day of the year. Now, this year, we had a 6.7% comp. Overall sales up 8.4%, profit 9%. Let's put that kind of in perspective with what the rest of the retail industry did. Discount stores this year, in total, had a 7% comp. Warehouse clubs had a 9% comp. We were 7, Costco was 11, that averages out to 9. Grocery stores, about half of the business that we do is grocery-related, types of things that grocery stores would sell. Grocery stores this year, in total, did a 2% comp. We took a lot of share from the grocery business. Department stores this year, 2% comp, and total retail was 6. So as I look at this year, not up to the very high expectations that we had set at the beginning of the year, but I look at those numbers and I say, we had a pretty darn good year. We grew our sales 6.7%, faster than the industry in total. We took share from some key areas. We grew our profits faster than our sales. You folks should be really proud of what you accomplished this year. Give yourselves a big hand. A few other things this year. Membership had a very, very strong year. Ended the year 15.6 million primary members, 38.2 total member cards. Primaries were up 8.9. Total membership base was up 10.7. That bodes very well for us moving forward. Renewal rate was the best in the history of Sam's, 78.5%. That's 3 points over last year. And next year, we're going to get over 80%. Now, this is really exciting. Is it good to be part of a company that's growing again? It really is, all right? 20 new clubs this year, 11 relocations and expansions, a total of 135 remodels. The company is going to invest back in Sam's Club this year, $565 million to grow the business. And that's a real sign, Lee, that the company believes that we're heading in the right direction. Keys to making this thing work. Keys to achieving the financial goal. I'd like to give you a few thoughts. Number one, we need to grow our sales faster than that 7% comp. We need to be growing 10% this year. That needs to be the goal. We've told the company we'll do 7. We need to grow 10%. Price value leadership. This is the year. This is the year where we need to establish Sam's Club as absolutely the best price, the best quality, the best value in retail. That will drive those comps. Membership income up 11%. As I said, 9% growth in the base of membership income, $15 million in elite, This is the year where we're going to get renewals above 80%. Company's never been above 80%. That's going to be a terrific number this year. Special divisions and fresh. These are real drivers of the business. These are real drivers of frequency. They're real drivers of members coming into the club more often and buying other things. I think we really need this year to get at the special divisions, really execute well on the fresh merchandise, and it's really going to end up driving our comps. So I guess in conclusion, a good year. What most retailers would consider to be a very, very good year. An important year for Sam's Club. This is a year where we set in place, where we laid the foundation for even greater success in the future, isn't it? But I'll tell you, sometimes in business and in life, in the end, the difference between a good year and a great year comes down to who wants it the most. Remember the Super Bowl? Last play of the game? I think we know which team wanted it the most. This year, do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want to make this the greatest year in the history of Sam's Club? Do you want this more than any other retailer out there? I'll tell you, folks, we are ready. We are set. This is our year. Let's go out and make it happen, okay? Thank you very much.
Let's become Sam's. And let's be all that we can be as Sam's to our members. And let's show the rest of the world what it's all about. Let's become all we can become. And what I really want to share with you and what I want to implant in your mind after the wonderful messages that you've already heard. So little is left to be said as far as direction is engender in you what Tom called a belief, but engender in you, within you, a belief in yourself. Because as much as we applaud our heroes here, he said something very important. He said that you're all heroes out there. There's no question about it. Commitment, important part. You know, you can't be committed unless you believe it. You got to believe it first. And out of commitment, out of belief comes the commitment. I've said a number of times before, I would much rather get commitment from my people than compliance. Compliance is a bunch of rules and regulations. Commitment means the heart's there. 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. Bunch of kids. Some still in college, out of college. Some coach that no one ever heard of before, Steve Brooks. And these 22-year-olds, which is the average age of them, were playing in the U.S. in the Olympics, and they were playing against the Russian team. It was inevitable that we were going to lose that game. It would be impossible for those kids to beat the experienced, and actually the Russian team was the world champions. They were the best.
Unknown, totally anonymous, a week and a half ago. Look at her, Brooks.
They
No
did
notes tonight.
the impossible. That couldn't be done. And yet they did it. Somehow they did it. And why did they do it? Why were they able to do it? They believed that they could do it. They began by believing that they could do it. They believed that they had the talent, and they had the spirit, and they had the drive, and they had the ability to be able to beat that incredible Russian team. It was not a bunch of slouches that they beat. Now, they didn't decide that they were good enough to tie them. They decided they were good enough to beat them. And they absolutely believed that. And you know what? They couldn't have won it unless everybody on the team believed in it. See, you can't be committed part way. If you're going to go for the gold, you got to be totally committed. What I want you all to do is I want you to reach the point where you're like that U.S. hockey team where you're jumping and climbing on everybody and just having a great old time because we're winning. You see, if we imagine the possible in our minds is only the horizon. It's only far as we can see. And I guess what I'm asking you to do to adjust your mind and go beyond the horizon and imagine the possible by striving for the impossible. The impossible has been done before. Man on the moon, that was Buck Rogers stuff. You can't send someone up in a rocket and have them land on the moon. That's fantasy stuff. Totally impossible to do, but it was done. Build the largest corporation in the world in Bentonville, Arkansas. If the impossible is possible, and I hope by now you're a believer, then there are no limits to what we can do. In closing, I want to just show you another clip. It's a short clip, and it's about Secretariat. And I won't go into the whole thing, but you all remember Secretariat, the greatest horse, the greatest racehorse ever. Won the Triple Crown. We're going to see the last little part of that Belmont Stakes race where he won the Triple Crown.
They're in the set. Secretariat has opened a 22-length lead. He is going to be the Triple Crown winner. Here comes
But you know what? When Secretariat died, they did an autopsy, and his heart was 1.5 times the size of an average horse. And you know what? We have a heart that's 1.5 times the size of any competitor on the street.
wasn't exciting enough, we've got a lot of great events that are coming up in this year 2000. And we'll need to be wearing our running shoes just to stay caught up with all of the challenges that we have in front of us this next year, because we really do show no signs of slowing down. We've got a record number of grand openings. We've got a record number of relocations and remodels that we'll be supporting this year, all intended to help us build our membership base and to run the race of building the Sam's Club brand. But folks, branding goes beyond being a marketing issue. It goes into being an attitude issue. And it transcends one aspect of the business. It starts with merchandise and the merchandise that we carry, doesn't it? And then it transcends into operations and the experience that our members have within the clubs. And it gets told to our members through the marketing and membership efforts that we have within the business. Our challenge this year is that the brand that we project on the outside needs to be the same attitudes and values that we all carry on the inside. I'd like to talk about Elite. We put together a great package as far as Elite is concerned. And I'm so excited about how you all got behind this Elite program and how we've exceeded 60,000 Elite memberships in just the first 3 months of this particular program. Now, one of the things that we're going to do to help you this next year achieve our goal in Elite is sending out to you in club February 16th a new fulfillment kit. One of the things that we realized when our members give us $100 for that Elite membership, we weren't giving them anything substantial back to show the value of what they had just purchased. So you saw us give one to Les Brown yesterday, but this new fulfillment kit is going to have all the materials with the fulfillment book, the discs, the coupon book, and everything they need to sign up for their Elite benefits. Value is the message that we need to get across. And fun is the other aspect that we need to get across in our marketing brand this next year. So we're introducing our new marketing campaign, which is more surprises for less. What do you think? The wonderful thing about this campaign is that it has flexibility and application to both the business member and the Advantage member. Well, I want to transition now into 5 goals that we have for you this year in building the Sam's Club brand. And I have to start with Elite. The financial commitment is 5 sign-ups per day. The goal is 7, okay? I love that. We're going to adopt that. As well as our membership income goal is an 11% increase. My second goal is to focus on retention. And first is on the member side of the business. And so our business members, 88, our Advantage members, 82. On our partner side, decrease turnover by 20%. Third challenge is building that 100,000 member base. Now, 101 of you out there have already achieved that number, so you don't get off the hook here. You need to grow that base by 10%. But if you're not yet at 100,000 members, then my challenge to you is get to that point this next year. Fourth is focus on value of the membership through merchandise. Phil did a great job in his presentation of showing you those value messages. I want you to take those items, 2 a day, talk about them in your 10-minute meetings, educate our associates about the value of the merchandise and how that translates into the value of the membership. Once they believe it, it'll be easy to convince our members, just like the Elite Challenge that we had with the Elite Contest. Once our associates believe, our members will believe. And my 5th goal is to focus on the business member. Challenge here is to increase our business primaries to 5.3 million, or an 8% increase in overall business primaries. Can you do these challenges? Are they possible? They are possible for a world-class team. And I believe that these 5 goals, if we can accomplish them through this year, will help us establish the Sam's Club brand and marketing to the world as value in the mind of our members and prospects. Thank you for a great year.
I'm proud to make an announcement this morning, and I don't know if you're really aware of this or not, but because of the service that you give in your communities with all of our other Walmart associates, guess what? Here's some new news I'd like to announce to you this morning. Fortune magazine has just mentioned us again, listed us among the top 10 of the most admired companies in America, but last year we were number 7. This year we're number 5. Congratulations to you. Isn't that great? You know, when you look at some of the reasons why you are in this top list, and some of the key criteria that they have is, first of all, reputation, innovativeness, but of course the next two get me excited. Quality of management, employee talent, quality of the products and services that we deliver, and knowing that you're a good long-term investment value. And you know what, for my money, all of those describe you as Sam's Club. So again, congratulations to you. I just think it's really exciting. I think the good news here is that please know that for the last 5 years, in Walmart stores and in Sam's, our turnover has been increasing by 200 and 300 basis points per year. And for the first time, we have stemmed the turnover dragon. And we now are flattening out and moving downward in turnover. And I tell you what, I'm excited about that, and I think you ought to appreciate yourselves for that one, okay? Because it's good news. There was a great survey that was done recently that talked about why people commit to a business. And the number one reason was opportunity. So long as you and others feel that we have an opportunity to grow within our organization, we will continue to improve. And here's the great thing. We've got opportunity all around us.
Well, I'll tell you, one of my more memorable experiences was with the Sam's Group. How many of you were in Little Rock at a convention center there at the Excelsior Hotel when they gave me that stupid pig? And Coughlin was in Sam's at the time, and that bunch came in on stage, interrupted my talk, handed me this stupid pig, and the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life is I took it. Now, why in the world would you take a pig? If somebody came up to you and just held out a pig, would you take it? I don't know, I did. I can't explain it today. So here I am, standing up here, getting ready to finish my talk, holding this stupid pig, not knowing what to do with it. So I didn't know what else to do, took that thing out, put it in the cab, and I told the cab driver, said, look, I'm going to be tied up for the next 2.5 hours. Take this pig around town, show her a good time, and bring her back. Well, the long and short of it was, it cost me $78 in taxi fare for that stupid pig. I ruined an $87 suit, and then I took the thing down to the buffet line they had set up to feed the managers, and the pig I fed us the food off the buffet line. It got sick. It couldn't eat that food. I finally had to put it on an airplane and send it back to Bentonville. But that wasn't the worst part of it. For probably 5 years, everywhere I'd go, people would say to me, what happened to the pig? Where is the pig? Or people would write me letters, say, how's the pig doing? Everybody was more concerned about that stupid pig than anything else, and I bet it went on for 5 years. And so what I used to do is I used to make up these real wild stories, I tell them all kinds of things, and they'd just sit there and listen and believe it. Sometimes you'd tell them, I eat the pig. Then you'd get hate mail for a while. We just finished a year where we did $340 million in sales and made $12 million in profit. Now, that's about the equivalent of 3 good Sams, isn't it? And yet, we were working very, very hard to build this into a company, but everyone seemingly was larger than we were. No one took us very seriously, and we worked like crazy trying to improve. And the one thing that I can tell you about the company back in those days was this. there was no resistance to change. Still no resistance to change in Walmart or Sam's today, is there? If you've got a high resistance to change in this company, you'll be uncomfortable over a period of time. But back then, change was constant every day, and we'd go out and we'd study everything everybody else was doing, and then we'd come back and plan our strategy, and we'd implement it in Walmart stores, and then we'd try to improve upon what they did. And you know what? It wasn't long before we got to be better than the regional discounters, and it wasn't long before we got to be better than Kmart was. And it wasn't long before we began to feel like we can set a Walmart store down side by side with Kmart or Target or Woolco or anyone else and compete very effectively and get our share. But it was that continuous improvement that we were driving in the company that made it work. Continuous improvement is a great phrase because that describes what this company's been all about since it opened that first store in 1962. Continuous improvement, though. No one in Sam's was managing the business. No one in Sam's in those days, even though we were growing, putting in 40, 50 clubs in a year in those bigger years, no one was saying, let's work like crazy to get our arms around this. What they were saying is, how do we make this thing better? How do we drive continuous improvement? How do we keep Sam's improving and so that we are better than everyone else? And that made the concept work. And we grew very rapidly, and the other competitors couldn't compete with us. We acquired several of them. Super Savers, Pace, John Geiss's operation in Indianapolis, we were better than all of them, and they wound up becoming a part of Sam's. Have no resistance to change. Dedicate yourself to driving continuous improvement in this company, and let competition worry about how they do it or what they're going to do. Let's continue to drive continuous improvement in Sam's and in all other divisions of this company. It's what will make this company great, it's what will make us win, and it's what will take us to another plateau.
But it's really exciting to be with you, and I really appreciate this opportunity. So what I'd like to do today is go back to our formula on what we consider price and value. Price plus quality equals value. A formula that we always have to remember and keep in mind when we talk about our concept and talk with our members. It's an extremely important concept. What's our requirement? What's merchandising's responsibility, if you will, to create value? What is our responsibility? First and foremost, it is about finding and negotiating the best buys and the best value. We at merchandising this year have just started. We've just started our passion, our drive to create the value that's necessary for our members. We're going to drive all costs out of the goods. We're going to find all ways that we can to reduce and lower our costs. We are going to be continuing to look to our suppliers to eliminate all costs out of the cost of goods. We're going to be expecting our suppliers this year to deal with Sam's on the basis and cost of dealing with Sam's. We create a lot of volume for our suppliers. And when we create this volume and savings, we expect those savings to be represented to Sam's in our cost and not subsidized in the balance of their business. Something that we should think about every day in our business. And that is word of mouth in this business between our members, our partners, our partner to member is what creates and drives this business. Did you know
that word of mouth is the largest driver of our membership. Let me remind you, too, of another item that we're working diligently on to create better and better value, and that's our Members Mark. It will be a premium label at a tremendous value, and only the best will go into that product. Teach your members, teach your associates about Members Mark. My challenge to you today is simple. My challenge to all of us today is simple. We need to share those values with our members. We need to share them from associate to associate, associate to member. Reinforce these values every day. Teach our associates, protect our values.
It is so much fun for me to be back here the second time at a Sam's meeting. I guess I used to come years ago because I had logistics and we served the Sam's Clubs, but it wasn't quite as pleasant because typically you were all talking to me about late trucks and damage on the trucks and all that. It's a lot more fun now because I can talk to you about the things I'd like to see. I like the idea that we are going to be able to talk about associates, that we are one company, and that philosophy that Sam had, those quotes that he has, those video clips we have about Sam Walton talking about associates can be shared with everybody and not be reinterpreted. That we can speak as one voice out there to the people that serve our customers and our members and cause them to feel like they are part of one company. I think that's important. One company, different divisions, all with one purpose, and that is to take care of customers and members. And I keep thinking about Sam and the way when you travel with Sam, he traveled like this. He traveled with his hand out. And he didn't wait for people to come to him. He was there like this. And he was embracing people. I see us get so busy in our jobs that when an associate comes up to us or a manager comes up to a district manager or to a regional, you almost see people go, I have enough on my plate. Do you ever sense that? I think we all do. Instead of that Sam Walton thing of reaching out and touching people, I call it high expectations with a heart. We deal with the process of business because there's a great deal of comfort in dealing with the process of business. The humanity, the human side of the business, the reaching out and doing what Sam did and pulling people into your sphere of influence is a more difficult task, much more difficult task. Now let me close by talking about you and I. So I came to this company 20 years ago last August. 20 years ago last August. Assistant manager of the truck fleet. The likelihood of me standing on this stage and talking to you had to be greater today. It had to be greater than 1 in a million, didn't it? If I make every correct decision that a CEO could possibly make, every single decision I make is correct, and you don't take care of your members and your associates, what is the likelihood that I will be successful as I follow David Glass? Not very good, is it? It's not very good. On the other hand, what if you run the heck out of your club? What if you run the heck out of your district, out of your region, and you treat people right, and you take care of your members, and you sell the merchandise, and the buyers buy the right merchandise? And as CEO, I lead the company into investments that aren't good for the company, buy a chain of stores in Russia that goes bankrupt, or mismanage other areas of the company. What's the likelihood your profit sharing is going to be good? Not very good, is it? Because the truth is, in the future, your futures and my future are just like this, aren't they? And together we will succeed, and we'll have the retirement that we want. We will be able to treat our families like we want. We will have the pride and the accomplishments of our teams as we go forward together, intertwined. I like that. And I have to make sure that we as a company make the right investments, that we do the right things, and that this culture that Sam Walton gave us that is so precious lives as strongly the day I leave this organization as it is the day I inherited it from David Glass. Because I'm going to tell you, it's what makes us special is what Sam gave us. So I think it's going to be fun. But I want you to do something for me. I want you to hold me accountable. And if we head the right way, if I'm not listening, if we're not investing, if we're not taking care of you, if we're slipping, if the culture's slipping, I want to tell you, don't wait. The first time you sense it, you make sure you let me know. Sam Walton was an absolutely fabulous CEO, a one in a lifetime. Most of us who've met him will never meet anyone like him. He was followed by David Glass, who's an unbelievably talented CEO with 12 years of experience. I have 3 weeks. What I need is for you to be a true partner, to step up, and to help this group be successful. Because it's not Lee Scott, and it's not just you. It is all of us together. I wouldn't have it any other way.
What I want to challenge you with today, this group, being in pursuit of perfection. And when I think about that, and as I got some feedback when I originally talked about perfection, Don, everybody kind of said, perfection? Oh, I don't, Jim, that's kind of a strong word. But we've got to make sure that as a business, that is our focus, that is our goal. If we don't have that as an expectation, I can assure you we will never have it perfect. We at Sam's can never be content. Never. I want you to think about the expectation of perfection. We've got 3 key focuses that I want to visit with you about today. First is building your people base. Second is managing your business. And third is making a personal commitment. All of these will continue to help us as a world-class business. Building your people base. This is the most important aspect that we have as a business. Without people, we can accomplish nothing. With people, we can accomplish anything. Second phase, managing your business. I want you to read that statement. Flawless execution. 0 misses. Did you realize that if every director that we had in this building today, if they had just one club that was not up to standard to serve our members, that is 15% of our company that is not serving the member on a daily basis. That's just one club. What would it be if it's 2? What would it be if it's 3? That is not acceptable. We can no longer afford to have clubs that aren't grand opening ready. And again, it's not for me. It's not for this group up here. It's not for those directors of operations. Your focus should be about the member every day. And the third piece that I want you to think about and I want you to think about this internally, because you can't look at it any way else. You have to make a personal commitment. I can't force you If you don't want to be better, I can't make you better. You've got to want to be better. Let's make a commitment, okay? Let's make a commitment. We're going to have higher expectations. We're going to break habits. We're going to develop yourself and also others. We are going to continue to support change. Excellence in the business can only come if you really love what you do. You have to have a passion. You have to have a burning desire. Lance Armstrong, and a lot of you may know Lance Armstrong, he was a cancer survivor, winner of 2,288-mile Tour de France, and said, "Passion separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. It's what makes the difference. It's what gives you the edge." As a company, we're moving forward. We're growing. We're going to try new things. We're going to continue to improve. We've got to have an expectation of perfection. Do you want it? Yeah. I believe you do. Thank you.
Sam Long, Chairman of Founder Walmart, and I want to just say hello to you folks again.
It's unbelievable what we accomplished in the late 60s and the early 70s. We had years when our sales were up 60% and profits were up 60%. And yet, at that point, we thought we were just flying. We've made partners out of our folks rather than employees, and they in turn have worked harder than our competitors. We've kept our prices lower than our competitors' prices.
The principles have been fairly basic through the years. We knew that if we shared our profits, we knew that if we shared information with you about how we're doing, and come up and help us become a better company, and that you have.
Is it possible that higher expectations are the key to everything? You've got to be proud of the fact that you're doing something for the United States, for America. You've got to be proud of the fact that in your communities, you're really a positive force for that community and saving money for your customers every day. Our philosophy is that we put our members first and our associates first. I think most of the ideas that have built our company have come from associates within the company first.
The same basic things that we started with back there in the 60s and our family center stores carried through and are making our company what it is today.
We have a reputation for integrity, a reputation for honesty, a reputation for morality, and for treating each other fairly and openly that I don't think is achieved by any other retail company in America.
I hope that some of this will maybe be preserved somewhere in time.
I think that probably our greatest difficulty will come in feeling that we've arrived and that complacency somewhere will set in. Where will we be year 2000? I just want to remind everyone that success doesn't last unless you deserve it. We've got to continue to be real good for our partners and real good for our customers. We take care of our associates and our customers. I think we'll be number one for forever as far as I'm concerned.
son was diagnosed with ALL in July of '99, and from that point on, she became an integral part of our lives during the next week to 10 days.
From diagnosis to death was just 8 days. But every day, Becky was so sweet. She would call up to the hospital, check on Matthew, and kind of feel dug in on what was going on back here at the club. And we have a 19-year-old son that we had left here in Wichita Falls, and I began to worry, you know, did I have groceries for him and those kind of things. And Becky called and checked on him 2 or 3 times that week and brought him groceries so he would have something to eat. And then later on in the week, I was able to go home, get some clothes and some things, and try and pay some bills and things. And unfortunately, that night, Matthew sickened. Doug kept trying to call from the hospital to tell me to come back up there, and he couldn't get me. So he called Becky, and Becky came over and told me what had happened and offered to drive me to Fort Worth very quickly. And so that started the last day of Matthew's life then. I think she knew, you know, that we needed someone there with us. And so she came along with the general manager and his wife and stayed with us that whole long day. And later on that afternoon, then Matthew did pass away. And Becky stayed there with us until our family got there and the minister got there, and was really, really special that way. While we were still at the hospital, she went over to the Ronald McDonald House and packed up our belongings for us so that when we left the hospital, we could just go ahead and come home. And then she traveled on that evening, later on that evening, she traveled back here to Wichita Falls, came to our house, brought her daughter, and cleaned up our house so that when we got home, it was straightened up, and when people were coming in, everything was nice and clean, and it was just way beyond what you would expect of, you know, someone that you work with to do. I'll tell you another thing that's really been special. This is our first holiday period without Matthew, and if anyone has ever lost anyone, they know how hard it is to get through those first holidays. And I will say, Becky called Thanksgiving to see how we were. Becky called Christmas to see how we were. And I mean, it was really special that someone remembered that this would be a tough time.
I think Becky winning this award, it couldn't happen to a nicer person. She's been really great for us. And, you know, in the time of our biggest need in our life, Becky was there for us.
Carla's been with Sam's about 12 years. She's a personnel training coordinator, but she's done everything. She's been in merchandising, she's helped on the front end, she's worked at the membership desk, and she's one of those people that's learned so much, she does everything. I think what sets Carla apart is that most of us give monetarily. We understand the needs out there, but Carla not only does that, but she gives her time, and her time is so important, just like it is for all of us, but she does both. She gives up a lot of her time to do things that most of us don't do. She really worked hard with CMN. That was her main focus. She received an award from them. She has gone to Children's Hospital and volunteered her time. She does what she calls rocking the babies. She gets everyone in the club involved, and I think that's the biggest difference. And you know, Mr. Sam's belief was we're all a team, and Carla does that. She makes all of us work as a team, and obviously we can do more together than 1 or 2 people can do. So she has the ability to pull us all together and focus. Well, as a club, we raised over $20,000 last year. For CMN, it was right at $12,000. And without her involvement, without her getting us involved and coming up with contests for cashiers and, you know, just all kinds of things that she's done, we wouldn't have done near those dollars. So $12,000 for CMN is pretty good. Mr. Sam was always the type that really believed in community involvement. And, you know, he set a great example for that himself. And I think Carla follows those footsteps extremely well. She just is so involved and so focused on the entire community. I think he'd be proud of her. We just appreciate so much what she does. Her contribution is so much larger than just being a personnel coordinator in so many ways, not just her community involvement, but club involvement. And she just sets a great example for all of us, and we really appreciate what she does.
I was actually working on nights doing some night receiving. We were remodeling the club at the time, and myself and another manager, J.R. Gregory, who's no longer with Sam's Club, we were both working together. We had just finished up lunch, and I had ran across the street to get a Mountain Dew to stay awake during the evening hours. Upon coming back, J.R. was up at the front door and told me that Lynn Giles had just been electrocuted from a forklift.
And I got a phone call about 2:30 that morning. And all of us that are general managers of buildings, you know, it's that one phone call that when you get in the middle of the night that you always think it's just an Alarm Central call, but this is a call that you got to you're being told that, you know, one of your partners were seriously electrocuted and, you know, that his heart had stopped and everything.
I stayed up front to wait for an ambulance to make sure they went around to receiving where the accident occurred, and JR went back to unlock the doors to prepare for the ambulance.
At the time he saw the color change in him, he ran back, and I think the only thing that happened that was not on cue was he yelled out, "Call 911, call 911." And Steve knew exactly what that was, ran back. Steve jumped through the forklift and turned off the power while Dave was hitting on the circuit breakers, grabbed Lynn and pulled him off the forklift. At that time, Steve ran in and called 911.
Dave, on the meantime, grabbed Lynn by the sleeve and pulled him off the forklift, trying not to grab onto his body so that he would be electrocuted.
Right when the paramedics got here is when Lynn actually stopped breathing, so it was just perfect timing.
The last thing you can remember is being in the back with Steve and Dave. And, you know, it kind of just fills in that full circle of, you know, what had happened back there. And
they saved the life of Lynn, and you just can't say enough to say thank you to these two outstanding partners.
Honestly, I think of all the people that were there that night, while we have some good partners, like I said before, they were the two most experienced. Steve has some electrical experience, working as an electrician. Just, they were on the ball. They thought quickly and reacted quickly.
These men have always gone above and beyond. They're super to work with. They got great personalities. You're looking forward to coming in and talking to them every day.
Both of them exemplify, you know, what Sam Walton would consider to be a top-notch associate.
You know, he talked about Sam's Club being a family, and that's exactly how Steve and Dave acted. They acted as family members looking out for a fellow employee.
Everybody in the clubs have a partner like this that is a go-to person that can make things happen, that you can count on, and both these partners are those type of people.
Tim's a buyer for us in toys and trimmetry. He was involved in a situation with a vendor in the purchase of a product, and long story short, Tim was offered $100,000 in cash to purchase a product from a manufacturer.
Whenever it happened, he had the opportunity to either accept it, which unfortunately in some cases that has happened, but he had the opportunity to accept the offer these individuals made, or he had the offer to decline it and not say anything further. But Tim chose to go to his supervisor and make him aware of it.
Tim did the right thing, brought it to our attention, and really, as Tim's choice, decided to pursue the individuals. Tim actually met with them in a hotel room. The transaction was done, $100,000. Very, very brave thing that Tim did, really with the help of our loss prevention. The FBI was involved. It was a real challenge for Tim to go through something like that.
A major concern of the individual as well as their family. This is a criminal matter. This is a criminal act. The mere offer by these individuals of this bribery was a conspiracy to commit a crime, and naturally, if they go through with the act in which they did, then the crime has been committed.
He knew it was the right thing to do for the company and the right thing to do for him.
And in this situation, Tim was given more than one opportunity to back out, to halt, and to not take this matter any further, to say, I don't want to go forward with it. But in each instance, Tim said no. What these individuals did was wrong. They tried to buy my integrity. They tried to buy me. And it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing for the company for me to go forward with this.
We should all be real proud of what he did for himself and for the company.
I agree, Greg. That Line Busters it's an unbelievable tool we've got. How did that come about?
You remember that time when you, Jason, and myself were in that club and lines were backed up everywhere? What, was it up in Greg Sprague's
No,
area?
that was Miller, Mike Miller's.
No, it was Kenny's area.
No, Brad Link.
It's Brad Link's area.
Link.
Brad Link's area. That's right. And the lines were shooting through the back of the club, and members were leaving mad. And Jason said, what was it Jason said?
He said, this is unbelievable.
No, right after that.
Oh, he said, what did he say? He said, we got to come up with some kind of technology to help us take care of this kind of situation.
That's right. And then he brought up the tool enhancement of Line Busters with the tells-on units to where we could test scan and ring members through before they went through the registers. I'll tell you, one of the best Christmas seasons we ever had getting the members through.
Line Busters has definitely affected our front-end productivity, has increased it greatly. Instead of the COSs have to stand back, wait for the lights to come on, they're more able to go and scan all the items, and so that by the time the member goes up to the cashiers, all they have to do is scan the membership card and the items just pop up for you. While you're scanning that, a lot of members are in a hurry when they come in. Either they have to go to their jobs or they have kids that are, have already been through the shopping experience and they don't want to wait any longer. They have someone waiting in the car for them. And then when you go up to them and you start scanning their items and you tell them what you're doing, they're just grateful. They said, oh, good, we're able to get through the line. So, different instances every weekend where stuff like that happens. The members can see now that we are trying to help them through the line as fast as possible. They're very happy. They're a little skeptical at first, but then when they get to the register, they're like, wow, technology, we're moving up in the world, and they really like that.
Great tool. Hey, Jason, congratulations on your award on Line Busters. We appreciate what you're doing out there. Congratulations.
Congratulations, buddy.
Rick had an aneurysm, and he was rushed to Washington Regional last October at like 5 in the morning, and his wife, Sabrina, called Chris, and Chris came down there, and he drove the whole family to Little Rock when my cousin got moved there, when Rick got moved there, and that's when I met him, when I drove to Little Rock. I don't know how he did it, but he got this huge van from the budget rent-a-car people, or Hertz, I don't know. Anyway, he had to wake somebody up because it was like 5 in the morning. He got this van, he drove the whole family down there to Little Rock, which is about a 4-hour drive. We were there for like 11 days. I wasn't there the whole time, but everybody else was. And not once did I pay for a hotel room. They just took care of us, it's like really hard when you don't know if somebody's going to live in your family. Whatever we needed. Even after we got back to Fayetteville and the funeral and everything, it was like they kept in constant contact with us. Chris called us, what do you need, what do you need, what do you need? They took care of us. Chris, I cried on his shoulder so many times. He was hurting too, but he took care of everything, and it's like he's so strong. He is a hero. If it wasn't for him and the people from Sam's, we would not have made it through this ordeal. It was the roughest thing I've ever been through, and everybody in my family, we've never lost anybody like this. Sam's and Walmart have the reputation for caring. Sam Walton was a caring individual. I think that he would be so proud of Chris.
We decided to go shopping to Saginaw, and we had a lot of places to go, so we picked Sam's first. And we walked in the door, and my sister had taken Carissa and put her in her cart. And I took my nephew and my son and put them in my cart. As we walked in the door, we were standing there talking to Jolene, the greeter, and Carissa was flirting basically with Jolene, giggling and laughing, and Jolene was commenting on how cute she was. And my sister had said that Carissa was having a seizure. And I turned around and I was kind of in shock. There was no warning of this to happen. And the greeter grabbed her, I think it's like a walkie-talkie, and called for, I think to the service desk to call for 911. My sister said, I think that she stopped breathing, and the other customer that was standing there was going to clean off a shelf for my sister to give her CPR. And then my sister decided that she would just go ahead, and the service desk was close enough. So we took her over to the service desk and laid her on the service desk because she knew that she was going to have to at least give her rescue breathing. Rob Soder had come up and walked up beside me and asked what was going on. And I said, well, she's, going to have CPR. And so Rob went up to the service desk, had them page, and they asked if there was a doctor or nurse in the building. Could they come to the service desk? And there happened to be a doctor shopping at the store. By then, the doctor had already come up. The CPR, Carissa heard my voice, and the CPR was working, and all of a sudden, she just started breathing again, and she wasn't blue anymore, and she looked for me, and the doctor said, go ahead and pick her up. And I picked her up, and Rob stood there right beside her side and said, I want to reassure you that an ambulance has been called. And then we'd climbed in the ambulance, and the next thing I know, Rob's standing at the ambulance door again, and he's like, well, I want to reassure you that the kids are being picked up. I didn't want you going to the hospital, worrying about the other kids, which I thought was a really nice thing for him to do. I feel that Rob has gone out of his way, and just in the fact of remembering him, him remembering Chris outside of the store, and that makes me feel special. That makes me feel like not just a number. Chris is doing great. She's doing wonderful. She is not on a sleep apnea monitor anymore. She's on seizure medication. She's just a happy-go-lucky little girl. She's just sweet as could be. I thank God, and I thank Sam's, because I think if I would have went to a different store first, it might not have been the same outcome. We were planning on going to 3 or 4 different stores that day, and I'm glad we picked Sam's first.
This is an example of the Auburn Washington Club as a result of a letter that I received from the member. And this member was not a Sam's member when they first went into the club. They were another, Costno's. You remember Costno, right? They were that other club member. Said she had heard about this Sam's Club, and she decided she'd go take a look. And when she got there, this is the kind of experience that she had in our club.
I actually bought the chairs on a different day than my dilemma arose. And about 3 days prior, I was going to be lining up the delivery, but they were several days out, and I thought, I could go home and unload my car and fit these big chairs that were in large cardboard boxes in my car, in my big Jeep. And I went back a couple days later, and I had lost my claim tickets. And I'd been told that it usually takes 24 hours to get your claim ticket, on the computer and everything, and I was disappointed. So they had 2 guys in their rain slickers go out there and roll them out, and I told them I hope at least one fits in there, and they were cool. I rolled it out there. The chairs did not fit, not even one. So she got on the walkie-talkie and called a guy named Scott Walney up to the front, and he came up and she said, Scott, do you have a pickup truck? And he says, yeah. And I was just sad looking. He looked over at me, and I could tell he was like, this gal needs help. So he helped me put it on the cart, and I followed him out to his truck. He says, I'll take him out to my truck and meet me over at the other side of the parking lot. He followed me home, which was pretty hilly and not too close and very bad visibility. He carried them in for me one by one. And he placed them, he says, where do you want them? He cut off the cardboard, he took off the wrap. Luckily there was wrap underneath the box, so I didn't have to worry about them getting all soaking wet. That was really nice and unexpected. And I didn't like where they were put, so he said, okay, where do you really want them? And so he helped me move them to the right spot, and I said, that's it. I guess when you go into any store, really, at any price level, but primarily you go into a wholesale store and you expect you're getting great prices, you're getting great selection, you're able to fill up a whole cart, that basically it's going to be kind of a meat pushing. You know, you just kind of grab something, throw it in your basket, and you go through. And I do not expect when I go there, and maybe it's kind of sad that I don't expect that, but I did not expect someone like Scott, who would be so willing to help me out, and with no question at all.